Before I start making the little guy here, I need to wind up my yarn. I wind every ball of yarn I get, whether it's a skein, a ball, or a hank, mainly because I want to see if there's any breaks in the yarn, any oil on it, any slubs, any thin spots. That way I know whether to use that ball for my project or not to. So I'm going to show everybody how I use my wool winder. First, you make sure that the tail is out. Let me scan it out a little bit. Sorry for the surrounding area, but this is how I've been doing it for years. Okay, you make sure the tail is out. Then you reach into the center of the ball. It doesn't have to be exact, but try to get as close to the center as possible, because the least amount you pull out at this point, whoops, I guess it didn't happen. The least you pull out, the less wad you have like this. But it's not really tangled, but you just have to take the time to pull it loose. Let me go ahead and pull it loose, and I'll be back with you in a minute. I just don't want to have you sit here watching me pull this thing apart. Okay, I'm down to the last little bit. Now this yarn is not really knotted or tangled. You just have to gently pull the two strings or one string apart until you get to where it's no longer in the little ball. Then you take your tail. Let me bring this up a little bit. Okay, there's an eye here. You take your tail up through the eye. Then you place the tail in the two little slots. Let me see if I can get this turned around to where you can see the slots. There they are right here, these two little slots. You put your tail in the slot and pull it down. And you leave a little piece there because you're going to be using this in the near future. So you get it all set up and you start winding it. Little bit of tension on your thread, because if you don't do any tension, it gets real wonky. And you don't want it to be wonky. So you want to put just a little tension on it and wind your ball. And since it's on an angle as you wind it, it forms this type of I guess like a little cake, which makes it very easy to stack and store and actually use. And when I'm working on a project, if I have any yarn left over, I rewind it again on the wool winder to make it a small ball again, or a tight ball again. Otherwise, you got this real loose ball like you would have if you were just pulling it directly out of a skein, like with Red Heart, and you could have a very easy time of getting a tangled mess and then have to spend hours untangling it. So just a little bit of tension and just lightly, just go around it. If you go too fast, you'll spin the ball right off the wool winder. I've done that many times. But this is a great way to get your yarn set, so when you start to use it, it's all in a nice, neat little cake. It's also great when you have your umbrella swift that you put the hank on, and that way as it spins off the umbrella swift, it winds up onto a ball on your wool winder. I don't have an umbrella swift handy to show you right now. Sometimes the ball starts to tangle a little bit when you get near the end. I try to set it up like that, so it's kind of in a relaxed state, and go a little bit slower. That way it can slowly come out of the center without tangling up and have to take the time to untangle it. It's one of those things that if you get your prep work done first and early, everything else will be a breeze. Okay, I'm just about done. Now, when I get ready to tie my knot, I'll just do it up here so you can see it. Now, you don't have to tie it the way I do, but I found this way it's easy to pull loose. You put your finger underneath the last round that you wrapped around the ball, grab the loose end and pull it up and twist your finger. And put your other finger in there so it like makes a little loop, and then you grab your tail and pull it tight. So you have this cute little knot here, but if you need to take it out, it's a slip knot. It slips out really, really easy. I'll do it again. Put your finger through the last wind, grab the end yarn, pull it through and turn it around or twist it. Put your thumb in there, then grab your tail and pull it tight. And that's a great way to set it up so it's easy to come loose. Now don't just pull the ball off. If you do, that thread you have up here is going to fall down inside and it'll be just like a hank again. You can't find it. So hold onto it with your finger, and as you pull it up slowly, now you've got a hank into a cake, and you got a tail that pulls from the center. Now here's another interesting fact. If you're working on a project and it says they want you to hold 2 strands together at the same time, so they ask you to say take a 200-yard ball and divide it in half into 2 100-yard balls. How do you figure out where that 100 part is? Instead, I just take the end that's in the center, pull the tail, put the 2 together, and you can work it this way, and as you see, it just totally unwinds. And it's the exact same amount of yarn as you go, and you're holding the 2 strands together, and when you get to the end, actually evens out. So it's a great way to do something that you have to do with 2 strands. Let me fix this back again. Go through the loop with my finger. I'll enlarge it. Grab the yarn, pull it through, and then grab your tail and pull it. And there you got your little knot. All right. Now I haven't made this pattern in quite a while, and this is how I test patterns. I go ahead and leave the pattern setting. I don't touch it. I don't make it because I already know how it's made, so therefore I don't really test the pattern. So by doing it this way, I can read what I wrote and try to make it according to what's here, and if it doesn't match up, then I know I got a mistake. So that's what's great about proofing it this way. Now this piece here is tied on with a square knot, so obviously we can't take that part off to lay it out flat, but you know that it's flat. It's also done on back loop, so you have the ridges just like you do with the Swiffer mop cover. So let's start here. Oh, they're starting with the sombrero. So we're going to start with the sombrero. Okay, it says make magic loop, single crochet 7 stitches in the loop. Okay, so I don't make that double magic loop. I just go around my fingers once. And then put my hook inside and pull it up and do a chain. Okay, let me enlarge this so we can see a little better. Now do 7 singles. So you go back in the loop, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, go through 2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That tail got in the way. 5, 6, 7. Now after you get all 7 on there, then you can pull the tail. When you pull the tail, it tightens up for you. Okay, so now you got your ring. Then it says 2 singles, okay, pull tight. And then 2 single crochets in each stitch and join. So you'll have a total of 14 stitches because you doubled the 7, so you'll have 14. So we go to the first one. And just like when I was doing my granny squares, hold the thread, the tail, inside your work as you go. So there's 1. This is going to be a challenge to do this standing up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 in this one, if I can catch it, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're getting close, 9, 10, we don't need to carry that anymore, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I've got my 14 stitches. Let me cut that excess tail off. We don't need that anymore. Okay, and we've got the first round. and the second round. Next it says single in the back loop of the previous round. What I do first usually is kind of like a slip stitch to close the ring, although there's not a ring, but it really makes the hat lay nicer. So you do a slip stitch, then chain one. That's just something I like to do. If you don't want to do it that way, you don't have to. You can just single crochet right in that, should be first stitch, and keep right on going. Okay, but you want to go just the back loop. There's the front loop and the back loop. Most of the time you crochet through both loops. In this case, we're only going to crochet through this back loop, like that. What this does is it causes a little bit of a ridge, and also it makes this part of the hat lay flat, where this part is flat here. This one goes straight down the side nicely. It kind of makes like a corner. So we're going to do 14 of these. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Try not to pull it too much because you don't want to stretch it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, 2 more. 11, 12, 13, 14. Now also to let you know, I'm actually using a size H hook instead of a G, which means this whole thing is going to be kind of on the bigger side, which is good to show, but when you do yours, definitely do it on a G hook because you want to make it smaller and tighter. You can see the difference here between the two top pieces. But I'll go ahead and continue because this is just a sample to show you. Okay, so I got my 14. Now it says rounds 4 through 9, just single crochet in each. So you just go around. And if you want, you can put a marker here so you know where your round 5 is. I'm just going to have to remember my round 5 is where the first yellow and green meet. But you want to go around, let's see, 5, 6, 7. So it's 5 times, 5 rounds. I said this is going to be way too big, but it still will show you how it's done. Now as you go around, you're going to notice it's going to kind of want to wrap around your thumb. It's just because it's the nature of the beast. Oh, I don't want to do a double. It has to be a single. Now after you get a little ways, you can always turn the hat right side out, and that way your stitches will be on the top of your work, and then your work will be hanging below it. As it is now, your work is below it because your stitches are trying to come up. So you just go like this. See how it wants to lay nice and flat because you did that ridge stitch? Okay, so that's 1 round because where the green and yellow meet, right here, there's 1 round, there's 2 rounds. So I have to keep in mind where this green and yellow meet because that's where my rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 will come from. Also, when you're using a G, it's smaller, it's a little bit tighter. You may have to go a little bit slower in order to catch the stitches and not miss any. But you just keep going. I'm almost around another time. It goes fairly quick because it's only 14 stitches. Then you flare it out to start making the brim. And then it'll start taking the shape of an actual sombrero. Oh, it came loose. And then when you do the fringe on the chain, I'll show you how to do the little fringe on that chain. It's really easy to do, and it just adds a little more character. Because when you do a chain, you have 1 thread at the start and 1 thread at the end. And when you weave them in, they just don't look quite right. So I found a way to kind of hide them inside of the fringe instead of trying to weave it inside the chain. If you'd rather weave it inside the chain and not have fringe, you can do that too. It's your hat on your design. But overall, this is a really easy pattern to do. There's really not a lot of intricate stitching. It's either working in the round or working in rows, and then adding a few little accoutrements to give it the look it's supposed to have. Okay, let's see what round I'm in now. It said where my green and yellow meet, so there's 1, 2, 3. I've already done 4 rounds, so that'd be 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be round 9, I believe. Oh no, I got to do one more. It was 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9. Let me go around one more time and then count again just to make sure. It never hurts to count more than once. I said you can add a little marker if you like, or a safety pin, or a little piece of yarn, anything to mark your beginning, because sometimes that really is beneficial. Just about back around, because right here you can see where I joined, so I'm really close. Let's see, so we got round, this would be round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is round 9. It doesn't seem like it's long enough. Let's see how many I did here. Oh, that's right. This part, the additional rounds, is you're going to be increasing. So you really only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do one more. I want to make it so you can at least see what I'm doing. I just wish I had picked up the right crochet hook. When I get ready to do the other parts, I'm going to go find my G. I know it's around somewhere. I'm just not sure where I'm going to find it. Let me just go around this one more time. Really starting to look like the top of the hat. Okay, I'm just about back there because you can see where the 2 joins were. Okay, there we are. Now for the brim, we do 2 singles in the next stitch, 1 in the next until we have 18. So we do 1, 2 in the first stitch, 1 in the next stitch, so that's 3. Then this would be stitch 4, 5 in the same stitch, 6 is in the next stitch, and 7 and 8 is in one stitch, 9 is by itself, 10 and 11 are together, 12 is by itself, we're almost there, 13 and 14 are together, 15 is by itself, 16 and 17 are together, and 18 is by itself. Okay, so now we've got them all done. So we just did that. Now the reason for these numbers over here is that's how many stitches total it is for each repeat. So 2 singles in the next stitch, so that's 2, single crochet in the next 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Then when you repeat this again, that's 4 plus 4 makes 8. When you repeat it again, it'll be 8 plus 4 makes 12. And you do it until you get 28 stitches. It's just a way to help keep track of your stitches without having to use markers. Okay, so this one is 2, so it'll be a total of 4. So we do 2 here, 1, 2, 1 in this stitch makes number 3, and 1 in this stitch makes number 4. Now we're going to repeat it. 5 and 6 are together, 7, 8 are individual, 9 and 10 are together, 9, 10, 11 and 12 are separate, 13 and 14 are together, 15 and 16 are separate. Then we got 17 and 18 are together, 19 and 20 are separate, 21 and 22 are together. 23 and 24 are separate. We're almost there because we just did 24, so now we've got to do up to 28. So 25 and 26 are together. 27 and 28. Okay, so we finished round 2. Round 3, do the same thing, but 3 individual singles. So that way there's a total of 5, so that's why I see 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's the same thing, but with 5 stitches instead of 4. So we've got 1, 2, let me pull some out. 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 are together. 8, 9, and 10 are separate. 11 and 12 are together. 13, 14, and 15 are separate. 15 and 16, no, that was, so 16 and 17 are together. 18, 19, and 20 are separate. And then 21 and 22 are together. 23, 24, and 25 are separate. And we have one more repeat. 26 and 27 are together. 28, 29, and 30 are separate. Okay, so now we've already done through this point. Okay, now round 4, you do the same 2 with 4 and individually, so that's 6. So that's why I see 6, 12, 18, 24, and you do it until you get 42 stitches. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're there. Now we got to do up to 12. 7 and 8 are together. And there's 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14 are together. 15, 16, and 17 are separate. And 18, oh, almost forgot number 18. Okay, there's 18. 19 and 20 are together. And then going up to 28, okay. Okay, so there's 28. Now we got to do up to number 35. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, I'm going to pause the video while I finish these last 2 rounds, and then I'll show you how to do the rest. Okay, I've finished round 6. So as you can see, it's nice and flat, and that's a total of 56 stitches. Now round 7 and 8, you just single crochet in each single crochet, so you're not doing any increasing or decreasing. And then when you get to row 9, then you start doing a decrease. What that does is when you do the even stitching, it makes it curve up. Then when you do the decrease roll, it makes it curve in. So you get that little sombrero hat edge, and also gives it some body so it doesn't go real wonky. So let me go ahead and do the other 2 rounds that are even. I really don't have to show the even rounds. Let me put a little pin here real quick. I know it's a big pin, but I need to know where I start and stop. So I'll just stick a pin there. Just hope I don't poke myself. But anything will work. You can use a safety pin, paper clip, piece of thread, piece of yarn. But then you just crochet it evenly around. I will come back when I'm halfway through round 8, so then I can show you how to do round 9 and how the thing is going to start curving up. Okay, I went ahead and put a little pin there while I was in pause mode, and I've already gone around one time, and I'm working on my second half. I've only got about this much more to go before I do row 9. So let me go ahead and finish up round 8, and then we'll go straight into 9. Then all that'll be left is to make the little rope to put around the top of the sombrero for a little added character. And we'll do that next. I did find a size G crochet hook. It's not my favorite. I may just keep making this entire outfit on the H and look for a bigger bottle that it might fit, because this fits on a Worcestershire bottle that's 5 ounces, or Tabasco bottle, which is 5 ounces, or any other bottle you can find that's roughly that shape and size that are 5 ounces. Okay, so now I'm finished with round 8. Now for round 9, decrease, which is a single crochet decrease, and then single crochet in the next 9 stitches, and you do it 5 times till you have 50 stitches when you're done, instead of 56, because you just reduced it by 6 times. Okay, so to do a single decrease, you insert your hook in your stitch, yarn over and pull it up. Then you insert your stitch in the hook in the next stitch, yarn over and pull it up. So now you have 3 stitches on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3. And that's a single crochet decrease. Then it wants you just to single crochet 9 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to repeat that. We're going to do our single crochet decrease. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull it up. Go to the next stitch, insert your needle, yarn up, yarn over, pull it up. So you have 3 stitches, and yarn over and go through all 3. And there's your decrease again. Now we got to do 9 stitches. You know when you've got done enough when you get back to your pin. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this may not curve up as well as it should, because being on an H hook with this lightweight yarn, it's not as tight, so it may not give you that really tight curl like it would have done if I did it on a G. But you still get the concept and see how it's done. And also you see what happens when your needle and your yarn sizes don't match. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Also, if you'd use the G hook and it comes out loose like this because you're a loose crocheter, then maybe you should go down from a G to an F to make it tighter. Or if it's tight on the G and it's hard to get your hook through, you may want to switch to an H. So it just depends on your crocheting skills and technique as to what size hook you need. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I've done all 50. I'm going to add, just so I can get back over to here, and it probably wouldn't hurt because this is so loose, to do 1 more single crochet decrease. It's not something you have to do, it's just something I'm doing to try to make it curve as much as I can. Okay, so after you get it to your finished part, do a slip stitch, just yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through. That makes a real small stitch, then yarn over, then you do a chain, cut your thread. Okay, and there's your sombrero. Let's see if it'll curve in. Oh, it does. And there's your sombrero. And take my pin out. Of course, you weave in your tails. Okay, so the next thing is we want to make the trim. So you want to do chain 30, then wrap it around the hat, tie it with an extra piece of yarn, or you can do a square knot, whichever you prefer. I show both ways with an extra piece of yarn, or you can wrap the chain around the hat and tie it off with a square knot. So whichever one you prefer, but in the meantime, in between, we're going to have to do our little fringe, and I'll show you how I do the fringe. So let's chain 30. I'm staying with my H hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now yours may be too long. You may want to reduce it down to 20 or 25 chains. Whatever works best for you and gives you the look that you're trying to get. There's 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'll do one more. If this is going to be more, I'm going to tie it off with. Cut the thread. Did I get a cut? Nope, I missed a part. And then you just pull it tight. So now instead of weaving these tails in, we're going to make some pieces of fringe. So you cut off 4 pieces of yarn about 4 to 6 inches long, because if you have a little waist, it doesn't hurt. Because you want to make sure you have enough to be comfortable with. Okay, so now I have 4 strands. Let me enlarge this so I can show you how I do it. You just insert your hook in your last chain. So don't pull that last chain too tight. Pull your threads you just made, your 2 loops, through it like that. Make sure you catch it. Oh, I missed it. I got a little tail, a little piece here that belongs there. Okay, so I pulled it up. Now you want to bring your tails through. It's really awkward. Sometimes you wish you had an extra hand. And you also want to pull that tail through that loop as well. And you pull it tight. You can pull each string individually if you like. And then trim your tail. And there's you got your first little fringe. We'll do it a second time. Let me take this out a little bit. There, it's going the wrong way. All right, insert your hook. Grab your next 2 pieces of yarn. Now if you want them to be the same color as your end, you can always pull out yarn until you get to your end color. That way all your tails are blue or green or red. I just use all the colors because it's decorative that way. Now after you put it over your hook, pull it through. And then you want to pull all 5 of those through your hook. Through that loop you just pulled up. And pull it tight. I said I always yank on my tails. I want to make sure it stays tight. Because when you first do it, it's not really tight. And then trim it. Okay, there's your little piece with your 2 little tails. Then you would wrap it around your hat. And I'm just trying to find a way to do this. Just lean my bottle. You put your hat on your bottle. And you tie a square knot, or any way you want to do it. A square knot is right over left. Pull it tight. And then left over right. And now it's done. So that's your hat completed. So now we'll go on to the serape. I think that's next. Oh no, the bottom is nice. We're going to do the little cap that he sets in. Now same thing, this is going to be a little bit big, but that's okay. Bottom, start with a magic loop, chain, single crochet 5 and pull tight. This one's kind of a quickie little piece because it's only like 5 or 6 rounds. So I got to do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now pull the tail tight. And then we want to do 2 singles in each single crochet round, just like we did with the hat. That first one's always a little bit of a challenge. Put the tail inside your work because you want to catch it as you go. So we're going to do 1, and the second one in the same spot, which makes 2. Now we'll go to the next one. Make sure we grab that tail thread. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. After you get those 10, you can cut your tail to get it out of your way because it's definitely seated inside your work. Now, the next thing it says to do, let me increase this a little bit so we can see it, is round 3, which is 2 singles in the next single crochet and 1 in the next. So you repeat that until you have 15 stitches. So just like we did before, 1 and 2 are together, 3 is separate, 4 and 5 are together, 6 is separate, 7 and 8 are together, 9 is separate, 10 and 11 are together, 12 is separate, 13 and 14 are together, and 15 is separate. Okay, and we just finished round 2. Well, actually round 3. Now round 4, 2 singles in the next single crochet and a single in the next 2. So we have a total of 20. So the first 2 are together, so 1 and 2 are together. 3 and 4 are separate. 5 and 6 are together. 7 and 8 are separate. 9 and 10 are together. 11 and 12 are separate. 13 and 14 are together. 15 and 16 are separate. 17 and 18 are together. Then 19 and 20 are separate. Okay, so now we just finished round 4. Now round 5 is the same thing, and you got 25 stitches. Okay, so 1 and 2 are together. 3, 4, and 5 are separate. 6 and 7 are together. 8, 9, and 10 are separate. 11 and 12 are together. 13, 14, and 15 are together. Now, if you want to fast forward through this part, because it's pretty repetitious, you can, but for those who like to crochet along and count as they go, you can do that also. So that was 15. 16 and 17 are together. 18, 19, and 20 are separate. And we got just one more set. So 21 and 22 are together. Don't worry if it curls up a little bit, because once you put it on your bottle, it'll lay nice and flat. Okay, so that takes care of through round 5. Now 6 through 12 are just single crochet around and finish it off and weave in the tails. So I just do 1 to start with, and then I put my little safety pin on the last stitch. So I know as I go around, each time I come back to my safety pin, it's a round. So this will be round 6. There's no increasing. By not increasing, it's going to make it come up the side. In this, you can crochet fast, you can crochet slow, but you want to make sure you have enough on it so when you put it on your bottle, it covers. Actually, it should cover a little more. It really should come up to about right here. So as you make it, put it on your bottle and see where it comes up. This is a little bit short. I mean, I would rather have it come up to the bottom of this word That way when I put the serape on, you don't see a whole lot of this part. But that's entirely optional. Do it exactly the way I'm doing it, or add a couple extra rounds. Both ways work. Because there's actually no rules in crocheting. It's your design, it's your pattern. You do it in a way that's comfortable to you, and it looks the way you want it to look. Now I'm going to pause the camera, and I'm going to work these last few rounds and then pick it back up near the end, because it's very repetitious. I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. There's no need for me to do 100 stitches while you watch it. I'll do 100 stitches, then I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so when you count, to count the rounds, okay, this is where your pin is. So you go above that, which is the yellow. So this would be round 5. So the yellow is 6, the blue is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm just about finished. As soon as this tail gets around to this point, that will be 12 rounds. So I'm just about there. That's the same way I count when I do my pot scrubbies and my dishcloths. Not the dishcloths, the pot holders. I put a marker and then I go around back to the marker, and that would represent one complete round. And the marker usually can be considered the back of the work, the front of the work, the side of the work, whichever you prefer. I'm just about back there. I've only got like 2 more stitches to do. And then you finish it off by doing a slip stitch where you stick the hook inside, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through again. You don't do any more yarn overs. And then you do a chain and pull it tight. And there's your bottom. See, this part will lay flat, because once you put the bottle on it, it flattens right out. See, now this, I think I would like to have a little bit more. I like to have it come up to about there. So instead of cutting it when I did, I should have put it on the bottle and checked and then decided. But for the demo purposes, it will work. So now we've got our bottom and our sombrero. So all we have our bottom and our sombrero. So all we have left now is this serape that'll cover this part. So let's grab some more yarn. And hang on, I'm not sure if I'm going to need my pen, but I'll hang on to it. All right, let's enlarge this again so we can see where we're at. Okay, row 1, chain 17. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook and the next 15 stitches. So we want to do like a foundation, and then we want to turn our work. Then after that, we will work in the back loops only. So first we will do our slip knot. And it says chain 17, so we'll do 17 chains. Now you don't want these tight, because if they're tight, it's going to make the bottom of your serape a little scrunchy. 1, 2, 3, 4. You never count the yarn on your hook. It's only the chains beneath your hook. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, almost there, 16, 17. Now it says single crochet in the second chain from the hook, which would be this one. Now you can do it any way. You can do just the top loops, or you can go down to the bottom loop and catch it that way. It might give you a little more of a finished edge by catching it through that bottom loop instead of just the top loop. So I'm going to go through the bottom loop. If I can get this thing to work. Keeps wanting to turn on me. This patinette yarn is really slick and slippery because it's 100% acrylic, and a wooden crochet hook might work better, but at this point this is the only one I have. So there's 1, do the next one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you just keep doing this all the way across. Like I said, you can either crochet through just the top loop, the bottom loop, or turn your work over and crochet in these little knobs back here. So whatever way you like to crochet your foundation roll is fine. You want to be comfortable. You want to enjoy your work. It's just the foundation chain is always the hardest to do because it's the smallest piece of fabric that you're working with, and it seems like you have more fingers than you do work in your hands, and it'll slip and turn and twist and coil up because that's what the foundation roll does. You just try to keep it loose so it doesn't twist and coil up on you too bad. And you know if it's not really coiling up like this onto your work, then you know your bottom chain was loose. One more stitch and we've got our bottom row completed. There we go. It's always hard to do. I always wind up holding onto the tail. And I weave the tails in afterwards. Okay, now row 2, single crocheting the back loops across. But first you got to do a chain 1. I forgot something right here. I need to do chain 1, turn. Oh, it's right there. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, so I did put it on there. Chain 1, turn. Now when I do this, when I do these type of stitches, I like to turn it this way. Because if you turn it this way, you can see where your back loop is really, really easy. Let me enlarge this a little bit. Maybe it'll help you see it a little better. Because if I turn it this way, get the tail out of the way. If I turn it this way and have to find my back loop, sometimes it's a little harder. You can still get to it. But I found if I turn it this way, you can actually do sideways and see the loop really easy. And then do your single crochet. I'll do it on the other side, see if I can do it on a lighter color. But you got to go through the back loops of each one. It's a little bit of a challenge when you're first starting to get all these back loops. This one's a little easier to see. You're just going into the back loop only. That's what causes the ridge on the serape. It's also the same stitch I do on my Swiffer mop cover and also on my dish towel. Let's see, which one was that? I think that's that one, dish towel on my kitchen set, which was a previous video that I did about a week ago. It's just really a challenge to get these in, but be patient. After you get the first couple of rows done, it does go a lot easier. Also, it has a lot to do with the yarn. If you have a super soft, thin yarn, it's a little harder to manipulate and hold still. If you had a little thicker, bigger yarn, it's a little more easy to grasp onto it. Also, if you have a little hand, little work is easier to do. When you have a big hand like mine, little work can be a challenge. Okay, I'm just about to the end. Got a few more stitches left here. It looks like it's going to be blue again. Rats. I was hoping to be a different color so you could see it a little better. I have 2 left. That one. And the last one you can almost see. There. Okay. Now the same thing, chain 1, turn my work counterclockwise, and when you get it about halfway, you can see your first stitch. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was out of the screen. So after you do your chain 1, you turn it just vertical, you can actually see your first stitch right there. And you take it all the way across, going through the back loops again. This is a little easier to hold on to, because now I have a little more underneath. Okay, we're getting there. After I get this row done, I'll show you how the ridges are formed. Because as you crochet in the back loop, you're forming these ridges. Also, it's the stitch they use when they want you to do like a rib, because a knit rib is knit 1, purl 1. But you can't do a crochet 1, crochet 2 and have it work out the same, because you have to work across in a different manner. So they found this way makes a great rib stitch. If I can get a hold of these, almost to the end. I caught an extra stitch there. That blue one doesn't belong. There. And then I take one in the end. Okay, so now you see how we got that little ridge that is forming. Now if we go to page 2, because actually I just did row 3. Row 3 says 2 singles. No, that's not supposed to be there, because your serape is just even stitching all the way across. So evidently there's a mistake here. That is part of another section. Let's see. Oh, here it is, chain 16. So this part is not there. I need to take that off. Okay, chain 1, then row 2, single in the back loops only. Repeat rows 2 until your serape is 7.5 inches or 35 rows, whichever comes first. Fasten off and weave in together. So chain 1, turn our work 50 degrees, put it in the first loop. I'm hoping to get to where the first loop is not navy blue, so you can see it a little better. So I actually started wrong. I did 17 instead of 14. Well, I know this whole set's going to be extra big anyway, because I'm using an H instead of a G, and we found my mistake. That's how I test my patterns. I do a pattern and then I set it aside for 6 months. By then I forgot how I did it and the stitch count. So then I have to read my directions, and that's when I find out I've got a mistake, because in my head I know roughly what it's supposed to look like. And when something is not working right, I can fix it or add something. Or like if I publish this pattern as it is, everybody would have been really confused because of this part here. And we definitely don't want anybody confused. When I get it published, it'll be on my website, stitchniche.com first. I'm going to try to get it on Ravelry too, but my days are getting kind of busy right now, so I definitely will get it on one within a few days of doing this video. Okay, I'll go into the last stitch. Chain 1, turn it 90 degrees, and now we have a red stitch right there. You don't do the one just under the hook. You go to the second one. And you can see it really well when you hold your work this way. And then you do your single crochet and keep going across. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera because, well, I've got a lot to do, and I don't really think you want to sit here and watch me repeat this over and over and over again for 7.5 inches. Okay, I'm still working on it, but I just wanted to show you how to count. Because here it says you want to go until you have, 35 rows or 7.5 inches. So the way you count it is you look and find your first ridge here. Because you can see there's definitely ridges. If you go on the back side, your ridge is until up here. Well, actually that's where your ridge should be. You have that first row we did, and then this is a roll in the back loop. So that's your first back loop roll. So if we turn it over, now you can also put a marker there too. If you put a marker here, then you know that was row 1. So your first ridge is row 2. So if you want, you have to do 35. So 2, 4, 6, as you see, I'm only counting the ridges, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. I've got 24. And row 25 is back here, and I have to go to row 35. So I still got about 9 rows to go. I started getting a little bit tighter, as you can see here. But once you fold it over like this, you won't be able to tell that one side might be a little narrow. Or you can rip it out back down to there and add 1 extra stitch somewhere inside. I've done that a few times too. So whichever works best for you, but I'm going to continue working on it till I get my 35 rows, and then we're going to show how to tie this serape together to slide it over the bottle itself. Okay, I do got the 35 rows. I was wrong. I actually lost a stitch in here. So that's why it's a little wonky. I could take it out and add that stitch back in and then continue up. But since this is just a demo piece, I'm okay with it. But let's count. We need 35 rows. So we know row 1 is here, and that's row 2, the ridge. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, and there's one more back here, makes 35. So now the serape is done. Then you make another one of these ties again with the little fridge on it. In order for you to see what I'm doing, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get a plain piece of yarn so you can see. So what you want to do is you make your chain again and add your fringe just like your sombrero, then weave through the serape in an X formation starting at row 13 and 23. The string left on the tail under the left side is at row 11, and the right side tail is under the row 25. This will form the X, and you finish off with your square knot. Okay, so if you lay this flat, well, not flat, but you lay it like this, you can see how the serape would go. You would take your fringe and put it through like this, wherever it fits, because you want to make sure it fits the neck of your bottle, and catch your little fringe you made like that. Okay, so there's the first half. Now you want to form an X, so one goes this way and one goes that way. So you want to go down to the next row. And you can do this with a larger crochet hook, and you can actually grab your fringe tie in this manner. Then you come over here and go into the bottom, into this row. You need to get a little bit more. I always like to make sure I get enough thread to hold it, and then that one's there. Okay, so there's your X you just formed, and then you would do a square knot, right over left, and then left over right, and pull it tight, and there's your serape. So you would put the serape on your bottle. I said this one is not right because of how I did it by in a mistake, but still gives you the concept. And then you put your hat on, and there's your little guy. Now my problem is I can't figure out what to call him. I've called him South of the Border because this is a Mexican type design. I've also called it Tabasco Man. I've called it Mexican Man, but I have not really figured out the best name for him. So you give it some thought, and you let me know if you come up with an idea as to a name. And if you can come up with a name, I will definitely give you credit on the pattern. Okay, now we're gonna look at this. And I see how it's all wonky and loose instead of tight like this one. So we're gonna rewind it, and you'll see the difference. Okay, so same as before, you put the end through the eyes, and you put the tail through the two slats, and start winding. And when you wind it, you want to put a little bit of tension on it, but not a lot, because you don't want to pull it tight. Do you know the difference between a cabbage and a head of lettuce? That's how you judge how tight you've wound it. If you squeeze it and it's nice and tight and firm like a head of cabbage, then you wound it too tight. If you squeeze it and it's kind of soft, it's more like a head of lettuce, and you want it to squish like a head of lettuce. The reason for that is when you pull your fibers and you keep them pulled tight, oh, I got a little knot there, and it's pulled tight, then the fibers stay stretched out, and when they're stretched out, they'll never get back to their full fluffiness again. So if you did the first half with a nice loose one, and you did the second half with a nice tight cabbage wound ball, the sleeve may be a little tighter or a little smaller, or it just doesn't lay right. So you always want to make sure that your ball that you're winding stays just a little bit firm, so it holds its shape, but not so tight that it's, like I said, feels like a head of cabbage. Let me finish get this wound. Now that I'm getting near the bottom here, it's going to be a little bit more of a chance to get tangled. So I'm going to go really slow, and then I'll finish it like I did before. And then I pull it off. There you go. Now you can see how it kind of squishes. That'd be like a head of lettuce, and that's the way you want it. Now this ball, it doesn't like to squish in. This is like a head of cabbage, and this ball, the fibers have been stretched on it to where now they're no longer a chunky weight, they're more the thickness of worsted weight. So it's better to do it on one of these winders because you have this big opening here, so when you pull it off, that much of airspace, everything kind of goes in like this, and it helps you with your softness. When you wind it in a ball, it's really hard to get that softness because there's no leeway in your work. And let me know if you come up with a name for this little guy. He definitely needs some kind of a name. And what I was calling him fits, but it doesn't fit. So hopefully you'll be able to help me come up with something. Thank you for watching. Oh, and like I said, if the pattern will shortly be on stitchniche.com, so you'll be able to go there and get it. I think I'll just put it on for 50 cents or $1. Nothing big, just enough to help cover the cost of the yarns that I purchased in order to make the designs. So if you like it, hit notification so you'll get my next pattern. Hit share if you want to give it to somebody else, and definitely subscribe so you'll get the access to all my patterns and videos and tricks and techniques as they come up and on the website. So thank you for watching.